And the next talk was on, well, okay, that's good enough. I mean, so sadhana is this idea that you pay attention to, you know, um, you know, the beauty that you love, and then upasana is this idea that you let it be what you do. Let the beauty that you love be what you do, and that seems simple enough. And yeah, I've got that going on. And at first brush, that's the end of it. And then yeah, but then what about when you're not letting the beauty that you love be what you do? What about when you're feeling stuck? What about when there are habits that cause you to suffer? Mental habits, emotional habits, behavioral habits. What about those grooves that we get into that don't serve us? That those things that those decisions that are deferred, and so that we stay stuck in situations that aren't appropriate for us. What about that whole thing? What about all those? What about those debacles that occur? A friend of mine, recently, literally, you know, was in a situation I actually can't even describe on film, to tell you the truth. She's the most level-headed, intelligent, educated person you'll ever want to meet, and on her own doing, she essentially lit a fire to her life. And the good news is that she'll practice her spiritual practice and she'll brush herself off and head off again in her life. But the reality is that very level-headed, grounded, good people are not immune to divorce, bankruptcy, and other types of essentially self-made debacles, really putting all their energies in the wrong place. And it's like, what's up with that? Like, what? How do we get into all these messes? And let's face it, we do. We really do. And if we, and if you're, it's one of the nice things about, I'm 47 now, being older long enough that it's not the people who aren't that bright, or the people who don't have good luck who get into trouble. It's pretty much all of us, because if you watch long enough, there's things have a way of messing up, and that's part of the curriculum. As I coach people and teach people, I'm really aware that the problems that the fires that we light in our own lives is this period. I think the first phrase in yoga is, and now the practice of yoga. And before the practice of yoga, there's this period where we're lighting fires in our own life and putting them out, lighting them and putting them out. Eventually we get tired of lighting fires and putting them out, lighting fires and putting them out. When we get tired of that, and now the practice of yoga. And even within the practice of yoga, we can go along for a while. We're like, okay, I'm done with that whole thing of lighting fires and putting them out, so I'm good. I'm just going to practice my yoga and live according to spiritual principle. And then, after a couple of months or years of that, we start to light fires again and put them out and and now the practice of yoga. And so those of us who've been on the path for a while, it's kind of a cycle where, we light fires and put them out and get tired of that. And then we start practicing yoga, then we light fires, we get tired of that. And so where does that come from? Where is this whole process whereby human beings create their own suffering? Because that's the premise of yoga. If you're going to be a yoga teacher, the premise is that, suffering doesn't happen from some external situation. Suffering is caused. One of the greatest teachers of the 20th century, Ramana Maharishi, said that he was asked, what causes human suffering? He said, the habits of mind. He didn't say, poverty, or he didn't say war, pestilence. Famine, old age, and sickness and death. He said the habits of mind, that it's our habits of mind that cause us, to suffer. And so as a yoga teacher, you're really going on this quest to find out what are the habits of mind that cause you to suffer.